Um, Again, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today, the Monday after spring break. For most people, spring break. We were discussing how hard that is the Monday after. So anyway, welcome and thank you for being here with us today. I'm Allison Scobbard, Consolidated Planning Group. And today you're in for a treat for this webinar. We're going to be talking about school opportunities available to special needs families, K-12, basically Houston and surrounding areas, the area that we'll be talking about today. So for those of you that are joining us, again, you've attended a lot of our webinars. Welcome back. We're glad you're here. For those of you joining for the first time, a few housekeeping items. We kind of do it the same way every single time, but your microphones and your cameras are muted, so we can't hear you or see you. And some of you guys are like, phew, thank you. Anyway, but we do know you're here and we do want to hear your questions today. So if you will put your questions in the chat box, I will be monitoring the chat box and we'll be reading the questions. We'll take the questions throughout. That's typically how we do it. We are going from 12 to 1. We will be finished by 1 today. We're going to answer as many questions as we can. Each of our speakers has basically 5 minutes or less. And what this is kind of a quick panel on school options in our area, and basically who, what, where, when, why, how much, who do they serve, what do the grades go up to, that kind of thing. So those are the things that they're going to talk about. So you're going to get a lot of information in just an hour today. So that way, what our hope is that with this information that you learned today, that you'll be able to narrow down, some schools that might be a good fit for your child or for what you're looking for. And then you can reach out directly to them and talk to them further about what your needs are and how they may be able to meet those needs. So Consolidated Planning Group, we are a holistic special needs planning firm. I am a mom to 4. I have 2 kids with special needs that have graduated into adulthood. And so we do these webinars on a pretty regular basis to educate parents and put tools and resources in their hands to make what is difficult a little bit easier. Sometimes navigating life with special needs and disabilities and everything in general, transitioning is pretty difficult. And so we like to do these webinars on a regular basis to help you with that. All of our webinars are recorded. So if you miss one, if you sign up for one and you miss it, it is recorded and you will get an email with that recording. So just like that for today, you will get an email today with a copy of today's slides. So you don't have to write down everything everyone says. A copy of today's slides and the recording. And then all of our recordings, past recordings and webinars live on the Consolidated Planning Group YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to for free and check those things out. So the schools that we have here with us today, we've got Bridge Prep Academy, Focus Academy, Gateway Academy, the Arbor School, Monarch School and Institute, the Parish School, and the Williams School. So I would just like to say thank you all for being here and taking the time to share with us your awesome school and what you guys are doing. And having said that, I would like to turn it over to Jackie Lockett with Bridge Prep.
Thank you, Allison, and good afternoon. My name is Jackie Lockett, and I am the head of school at Bridge Preparatory Academy. We're located in the Richmond Sugar Land area. We are enrolling for grades 4 through 12. We are a college prep Christian school for students with learning differences. Most of our students present with ADHD, ADD, or high functioning autism and other language-based learning differences, dyslexia, dyscalculia. You don't have to have a diagnosis to attend Bridge Prep. Some of our students attend just because they don't quite fit in a traditional setting. We provide the traditional core classes, English, history, math, science. We have a college preparatory focus as well as a life preparatory focus. We do realize that every student who graduates won't go into a 2 or 4 year college track. So we do also focus on vocational training as well as preparing students for whatever secondary path they choose after high school. We provide a research-based approach, and it is a strength-based approach. We have small classes. We average about 1 to 8, some even smaller. Some even smaller, depending on the need. We have what we call bridge classes for those students who may need remediation and may not be on level with their, where they should be. And so we provide those accommodations and modifications for all of our students, and they're based on the students' strengths and their needs, as well as what they're interested in. Our teachers are certified, they're experienced, as well as many of them have master's level degrees, advanced level degrees. We have credentialed specialists on campus, so included in our program, students, those who need reading and math intervention, have those weekly meetings with the interventionist, and even those who need further support meet with our dyscalculia and dyslexia specialists. We provide homework help after school, individual counseling. We teach executive function skills, those skills about planning, time and materials management. We teach those. We also teach social skills as well. We have included in our daily schedule something we call WIN time, and what it stands for is what I need. And it's a time in our schedule where we specifically target areas based on individual student need for remediation in reading, writing, and math. We provide electives based on student interest. These vary because they are based on student interest. Currently, we have culinary arts and coding, robotics, theater, personal fitness, guitar, and some other electives. We also, as a Christian school, provide Christian character lessons that are all based on Christian principles. We're not a denominational school, but we are a Christian school. We have the traditional leadership opportunities. We have a student council for which our students run for during election. And then we have field trips. We have an overnight camp, 2-night camp stay. We also have planned school social outings that are outside of school time that majority of our families attend.
That was my fault. I apologize for that.
The last thing I just wanted to mention is that we are a fully accredited school by TAPS, which is pretty important to those students who do choose to go on to post-secondary high school, go on to a 2-year or 4-year college. And so quite frankly, our whole approach is relational. We get to know our students, we teach them the way they learn best, really with the idea of our students realizing their true God-given potential and to reach whatever it is God has planned for their lives. Thank you. If you'd like to learn more about Bridge Prep, our next information meeting is March 31st, and that information will be on the slide.
And then if everyone could include too, if you guys are doing tours either in person or virtual or both, and if there's like an application fee, or if there's some kind of any quick process, I mean, I guess that's probably all on your website, but if you guys want to include any information on that whenever you guys come up, that is great. And Jackie, thank you for sharing your school with us, Bridge Prep. And can you tell everyone where you're located?
We are in Old Richmond, directly across the street from the old courthouse. We're in historic Richmond there. And we do have an application process. We do also provide limited financial assistance for students who families based on need for our tuition.
Okay, so we have 2 questions, and if anybody knows the answer to the first one, just feel free to give the answer. I actually don't know it. Did school choice pass? One participant asked if school choice passed. I think it was I don't know the answer to that either. For some reason, I thought it got tabled, but anyway, maybe we can look that up.
I think it got tabled too, Allison, but don't quote me.
I'm not positive, but that's what I think. So anyway, maybe somebody can Google that and put that in the chat box if they find it. And the last question for you, Jackie, can students who aren't Christian join the Bridge Prep Academy?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Great question. Thank you. All right. I am switching over to the next Jacqueline, which will go by Jacqueline Mulkey with Focus Academy. Thank you for being here. Please tell us about Focus.
Sure. Focus Academy is a school for quirky kids. And so most of our kids, if you think of the Big Bang Theory show and you think my kid could totally be on that show when he gets older or when she gets older, then that's the kids that end up at our school. We have Sheldon and Penny and all of those kids here. Can you go on to the next slide for me? Thanks. Our kids are in class sizes of 8 to 10, and they are a mixed age group class. So it's more like a one-room schoolhouse. All our classes are based on personalities, not on what grade level they're in. A lot of the research shows that kids that tutor other kids and kids that mentor other kids, they grow themselves. And so we really want to encourage that. So we have a model of encouraging the students to go to their peers first and then to come to the adults. Our grade levels are about grade 5 through 12. Occasionally we'll take a younger student if they're just a good fit for our school. And our programs are truly individualized to fit your child's interests. So we have coding classes, we have several students that have taken Japanese for their foreign language just because they're really into all of the anime and things like that. And we have a career exploration. We have many students that come and have no idea what they want to do when they get older, or many times they come to us and they don't really think they can do much. So we'll do an assessment to see what they're good at, what they're interested in, and try to start as early as possible to work towards that kind of a goal for them as they get older. What are they going to need to know? Many students, as you know, when they're younger, they're like, why do we have to learn algebra? Why do we have to learn this subject, whatever it is? And if we have something that they are targeting that we know they're going to go towards, they have to learn it because you want to be an engineer when you get older and you're going to have to take this much math, or whatever it is that is their area of interest we can push towards. Included in our program is individual and family counseling. So every student gets individual counseling pulled out by an LP, a licensed professional counselor, once a week. And every family is offered counseling once a month to come in and take advantage of. It can be parents coming in together. It can be grandparents coming in. It can be siblings coming in. It doesn't matter what part of the family. What we have learned is that the whole family isn't affected when you have a child with special needs. And so we want to make sure that we are taking into account that whole family. We also have a monthly Zoom happy hour for our parents. We found through COVID that people feel very isolated. And so we started doing online happy hour where we do a 30-minute talk on a subject. And then we really literally sit around and have a happy hour. You can bring your cocktail, you can bring your tea, whatever it is that you want. We sit around and make friends and commiserate over the struggles and talk about all of our successes, because sometimes the successes for us may not be the same as the success for our neighbor, and their kid is getting into certain college and we're just glad that our kid is doing things independently for themselves. They cooked a meal. So it may be very different. And so we want parents to feel like they have their tribe, they have their group. We talk a lot about finding your tribe and finding your place. So if you come to do a tour with us, we do all of our tours individually so we can find out more about the student. And if they don't fit our program, our goal is to help parents find the place that they do fit, because we do want you to find your tribe. That's why all of these schools are on here together today, is because we all do a little bit of different things and we want to be able to help parents find the best place for themselves. We have a Sugar Land location and a Woodlands location, and we also do some part-time social skills groups. We have some students that are homeschooled that just come in for social during the day, or we have students that come in the evening and take a social skills class but attend a regular public school. We also have summer programs, summer camps for kids that are not enrolled in our academy, and about half the kids that are enrolled in our academy will come also to the summer camp. And we have academics in the morning so that students don't forget and lose those skills, because we know regression is such a problem. And then we have summer camp fun times, field trips, things like that in the afternoon. So they're able to socialize and make friends and still feel like they had a summertime. Let me see if there's anything else. We have every religion under the sun. We have kids that are with several students that are Jewish. We have kids that are Christian, we have kids that are atheist and already talk about that fact. And it gives us a lot of opportunity to talk about everyone's differences and how we need to be both tolerant, but also understanding that everyone has differences, because many times our kids struggle with those differences, no matter what they are, and really understanding them and being able to deal with that is part of them getting ready to go off in life. So our goal is for them not to graduate to your couch when they get older. We want them to go and either attend college or go to their dream job. We have one kid that wanted to work for a professional baseball team, and that's what he does. And he works the grounds, and that's all he's ever wanted to do. And so that was the perfect role for him. He didn't need to go to college. And we have other kids that are engineers or teachers that wanted to go and do those jobs. So we want to make sure that they're capable and able to do that as well.
Couple things, Jacqueline. And I think everybody should say if they're equipped or not equipped for this. Are kids with physical disabilities considered? And is there a level of care, like if a child has a trach or if they have a G-tube or some other things, if there's a level of care that you're not equipped for, if you'll mention that. Someone would like to know how many total children does Focus enroll?
We will enroll about 20 to 25 students per campus. We have 2 different campuses, but we're going to stay a micro school. It seems to work best for our students to have more of a family-like environment and not a larger campus.
Sure. And this comes up, it doesn't matter if we're talking to an attorney and we're talking about guardianship or we're talking about private schools, this price. So, and I know that that is up to you guys on how you guys want to address that. So here's what I would say. Sometimes the websites of the school has their tuition posted. If your school does, if you don't mind putting what your tuition is in the chat box so people know, just go ahead and put your school name and put your tuition so people know what that is. And if you would rather them contact personally, then you can handle it that way as well. But that's, I think from a family perspective of, we're thinking, can we afford this or can we not? Okay, this sounds good. Oh, wait, so, there's a broad range of tuition out there, and some schools have tuition assistance and some schools do not. So those are all things that are certainly worth considering. So if you guys will join me on that in the chat box, that will be great if that's something that you're comfortable with. So does anybody, let's see if there's any other questions here.
Just on the things that you said, Allison, we are equipped to handle some medical needs. We have a student with muscular dystrophy. We have another student with Charge syndrome. So it really depends on what their needs are, but really the predominant factor is that our kids are quirky kids, and they will eventually they embrace that. They like that name. So if that's offensive, it's probably not a good fit, but the kids usually embrace that and are really happy to talk about themselves being quirky. We have a big drama production coming up. If anybody wants to come, we'd love to have more participation on April the 3rd. And our students get up on stage and do a big production, and we have a big fundraiser downtown. So the quirky kids will definitely be showing at that fundraiser, but some physical is okay. We don't have capabilities for nurse or any of those activities that require nursing.
And so any of the kids that are basically on a waiver that have a nurse or whatever, there's no issue if they have an attendant come with them. Is that correct?
Right. We wouldn't have a problem if they had an attendant. No. Or if they
Okay,
had,
perfect.
we've had kids that have dogs, that have therapy dogs.
Sure.
As well.
Sure. Okay. One thing that you said that I love, and this is so true, and I found, and I've met most of the folks on here before, is that I agree that most everyone here, the schools, not everybody's going to be a fit for every school, right? But what I do know is that the folks on here have heart for education and your loved ones, and they know a lot of people and they know the other schools and things like that. And oftentimes are able to provide a solid referral and kind of directional support and help for you for a school that may be a good fit if they're not it. So I love that you said that. Gateway Academy is in the greater Houston area. They were not able to be here today, so I'm going to kind of just put their slides up here. So it says that Gateway Academy serves 6th to 12th grade and young adult students, academically supported by fitness, social, cognitive training, and mental health strategies. So the kids that they serve are similar: ADHD, autism, learning disabilities, anxiety, dyslexia, all of the Ds, the dysgraphia, dyscalculia, some of the other ones have mentioned. They've got fitness each morning with a 45 minutes of fitness, social communication class every day, and counselors solving problems with students as they happen, 2 licensed professional counselors. Gateway Academy, I'm trying to think about it. You guys can help me out here. Might be Advanced Houston. Is that ringing a bell to anybody? I believe that Gateway Academy also has a spinoff, like a transition program for folks that have graduated. That's it looks pretty good. I mean, I actually looked at it in the last couple of weeks online. So it's called Advanced Houston. So if you've got transitioning kids or kind of thinking about that, or thinking about how do we get them to be semi-independent, independent, they have a program for that. So definitely do check that out. I'm sorry they couldn't be here today, but check out the Gateway Academy website, the Advanced Houston, and check them out. I have heard good things in the past. Let me see if I got a question here. Okay, we've got people putting some tuition in there, so thank you for doing that. Okay, all right, I have the Arbor School, so I'd like to turn it over to you.
Hey there, my name is Emily Miller, and I'm with the Arbor School. We're located in the Spring Branch area. We're off of like I-10 and Campbell. The Arbor School believes that every child deserves the chance to learn and grow, regardless of their perceived limitations, their diagnosis, or their lack thereof. Our mission is to enable children with significant special needs to reach their fullest potential by educating, empowering, and building hope for our students and their families. The Arbor School is home to students that have a variety of neurological, genetic, and undefined developmental disabilities. And we're also home to students that have things like autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and more. With the question about whether or not we accept students regardless of their physical needs, that is most definitely true. We will accept students regardless of their needs. The only students that we won't accept are those that require more than a 1-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio because their aggressive behaviors are too much for one teacher to handle. But other than that, we will accept any student. And we do allow nurses to come on too. So we have one student here that has a nurse to help with a variety of needs. And so if it's too much for our teachers to handle, they can also bring a nurse with them as well. So the Arbor School uses a whole child learning approach that includes educational and therapeutic goals. Our program is 100% individualized to each student in our care. And we're able to do that because we maintain a very low student to teacher ratio. Our highest student to teacher ratio is 2 students to 1 teacher. And then we go down based on the student's need as well. And all goal work, regardless of the student to teacher ratio, is done 1-to-1. We also integrate soccer and music therapy and occupational therapy in our program. We have 2 main programs at the Arbor School, our primary program and our secondary program. And those are solely based on age. So our primary program is for infants through children that are age 12. And it focuses on academics and also cognition, communication, self-help, fine motor, and gross motor skills. And then our secondary program continues to build on academics, but we also focus on the pre-vocational skills, transitional skills, and life skills and social skills for our students to prepare them for adulthood. That's a little bit about the Arbor. If you're interested in learning more, you can give us a call. I've added our phone number to the chat box. And our enrollment process is just for you to come to the school. We take you on a tour. We learn a little bit more about your child. And then if it seems like it's going to be a good fit, then we'll send you an enrollment contract. We require a $350 enrollment fee. And then it's just the tuition, which I also included in the chat box for you guys. And we also do have, we're kind of starting to bring back our events as well. And so we have our Fun Walk is coming up at the end of April on April 30th. And that's a really fun community event where all of our students come, so you can come and meet our students and our families. And then our community comes and joins us, and we'll have bounce houses and music and all kinds of games and things. And so if you'd like to come and meet our student body too, that would be a wonderful opportunity.
We have a couple of questions in the chat box. Could your school do a half day for a student due to fatigue issues? Is that something that could be worked out?
So we do work with our families. If you go to therapies like several days a week, we can definitely work with that. It won't change the tuition. So if you would like to do a half day, we can definitely accommodate that, because the program is 100% individualized to your child, but the tuition will remain the same.
Okay, and then for the schools that will allow not a nurse, want to know, does the Arbor School allow any assistant, not a nurse, with the children? So if you have an aide or something that you pay for yourself or that works well with your child, are they allowed?
So that would be a question for our director of education. I know that we do allow nurses, and I think that we would probably allow assistants, but that would be something that you would have to contact our school and then speak with Trisha a little bit more, and she would be able to give you a definitive answer.
Okay, Jacqueline Lockett, I'm going to direct this question to you, and then you can defer to somebody else if you don't know the answer, but I think you do. For those families that are, they've got a student in public school, they've never kind of embarked on private school before, we have the question, do private schools that accommodate children with special needs have something like a STAR statistics for comparison purposes? Also, public schools' financial support for special needs children are funded by the ISDs. How do private schools meet the additional cost? Are the costs passed on or shared with the parents? This is a great question, so thanks for asking that. And I'm sure there's a lot of other families that had similar questions. So Jacqueline, go.
Well,
Jackie,
I know that this is going to vary depending upon school, right? The first question with regard to meeting, is that the first one about meeting financial needs based on the ISD helping or getting funded through the ISD? Whichever was first. One was about the getting funded through the ISD. So there are titles, federal money in which a private school can receive from the ISD if they enroll a student who is determined to receive some funding based on special needs. However, that's an application process that the private school has the opportunity to apply for, but it's at their discretion. So if the school would like to apply to the ISD for Title II, 3, or 4 funding, they can do that, but not all private schools do that. And it's very particular on what you can use that money for versus using it for the entire student body. It has to be used specifically for those individual students. So it gets a little hairy. Then the other question with regard to how do private schools make up the difference? I will tell you for Breach Prep and from a lot of private schools, it's based on fundraising efforts. And there's no federal funding that's coming directly to private schools to make up the difference in the cost. For Bridge Prep, we do pass on those monies to our families in the form of tuition assistance. And that's basically how we fund our scholarship programs, is through our gala and fundraising efforts throughout the year. And so our parents then apply for the tuition assistance based on individual family need. And I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then the last question, and anybody, whoever has the answer, because I don't have the answer, basically what she's asking, about STAR statistics. So we know that STAR tests are not required of private schools. Okay, we know that. But I think what she's asking for is basically, is there a report card for private schools? So as a parent, I can evaluate how the school is doing. Does anybody want to answer that?
Let me jump in with what we do here at Bridge Prep. We don't do STAR, but we do something that I believe some public schools are doing now. It's called MAP, Measure of Academic Progress. Yes, and so what that does is it not only shows a parent where their student compares to other students nationally, but it also, more importantly for us, in my opinion, is that it compares the student's progress against himself several times a year. So they take the test at Bridge in the fall, we take it again in the winter, and then we take it again in spring. And that way we can see where the students, we can watch the students' individual growth and also identify those areas that we need to address. But it does give the data for national standings in comparison to other students along the same grade level. That's why it's not really a good tool for us with students who learn differently. Because the majority of our students just don't test well. But we are allowed to use the accommodations and modifications, or accommodations, I should say, necessary for our students. And it compares them to those students who may not necessarily have accommodations. So you have to take all of that in light of all of that when you consider the comparison.
So basically, in fairness, for all of the schools that are here, every school does a different test. It could be the CAT, it could be the Iowa Basic, it could be the MAP, it could be any number of tests that they do testing, and the number of times a year that they do it might be different. So as you're evaluating schools, that's a great question, and you should ask each one of the schools what they do, because it would be different and we wouldn't have enough time to go through all of that for every school today. So I think that would be my recommendation there. The other thing I just wanted to mention before we move on, we did have a parent that asked, are all of the schools presenting either nonprofit or for-profit? So if you happen to be one or the other, maybe you should mention that too whenever it comes to you. And if you've already gone, if you'll put it in the chat box of if you guys are a non-501c3 or if you're a for-profit school, that was a good question as well. Let's see here. And I will put that Advance Houston in the chat box in just a moment. Okay, so thank you. Thank you, Emily, for presenting and sharing the Arbor School. Okay, so now we have the Monarch School and Institute. So welcome, and tell us all about Monarch.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jaquise Jones, and I'm the admissions director here at the Monarch School and Institute. And I will let my counterpart introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Patty Pace. I'm head of the Monarch School and Institute.
So we're very excited to be here with you all today to talk a little bit about the Monarch School and Institute's programs and services. So to start, the Monarch School and Institute, we are a private therapeutic education school located on the northwest side of Houston, Texas. We are a very neurodiverse environment. And so primarily a lot of our learners have been diagnosed with autism. However, a vast majority of our population also has been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADD, as well as anxiety-related disorders, learning differences, mood-related disorders, as well as physical disabilities as well. So we start accepting students as young as 3 into our program, and we go up into adulthood. So the oldest adult that we're currently serving right now is 37 years of age. So we have pre-K through 12, as well as postgraduate opportunities, as well as a residential program for learners that are about 15 or 16 up into adulthood. In addition to that, what will set us aside for some other opportunities that you may be exploring for your student is that we have a 4-core-goal methodology, and that is what we focus on with all of our learners. And those 4 constructs would be self-regulation and self-awareness, executive functioning, academic and professional competence, as well as social development. For the learners that we serve, we offer a rolling admissions. So we offer year-round programming as well as a very low student-to-teacher ratio. So the smallest ratio that we offer in our Chrysalis program is a 2-to-1, which looks more like a 4-to-2 in the classroom for students with 2 professional educators. All of the educators at the Monarch School are degreed as well. We also provide a therapeutic education. So Monarch believes in blending academics as well as with the psychological support necessary, which is all supported by data. So in addition to the academic opportunities, we also have a very eclectic group of an interdisciplinary team. We have a licensed specialist in school psychology. We have quite a few BCBAs, RBTs, licensed marriage and family therapists, licensed professional counselors. So a very wide array of clinicians that are here to support the learners while they're here with us. So we offer weekly individual counseling, group counseling, and family counseling. Counseling is also available as well. We also have a diagnostic clinic on site as well. So we work with a lot of non-Monarch families who are interested in getting a second opinion. And so we are also available for those services as well. We also have a therapy services department. So we have a speech to language pathologist, an assistant, an occupational therapist, a neurologic music therapist. And we also follow the DIR 4-time model as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for those additional supportive services. In terms of elective courses for our learners that are in middle school, high school, and postgraduate, graduates, we offer a fully licensed commercial kitchen. So we have a culinary arts program. We have a maker space where we're doing some 3D printing and imaging, production, animation, robotics, aquatics. So a wide array of opportunities. And our goal is really to see what is a student's just natural strengths and affinities, and how can we excavate more of that so that they can land in a profession that they choose and where they're going to be happy and successful. And I'm going to pass it to our head of school. I can talk all day, so I'm going to pass it to our head of school.
We could both talk all day about Monarch. So we're so happy to be here, and thank you everyone who's listening and the other schools. Houston is very fortunate. We have lots of great schools for kids with special needs, and Monarch is one of those schools. We partner with many of the other schools in the presentation with us, helping families find the very best match for their student, because we know how important that is. Monarch has recently become a TEA recognized non-public school. And so we do work with some of the ISDs. We have students here from HISD, from Tomball, from A-League, from Fort Bend. So the earlier question about the STAR test and how do we assess the students, at Monarch, we've always told families if they wanted them to be involved in the STAR test, we can certainly give that to them as a practice. It would not be necessarily roll up at the state, but now that we are a TEA recognized school, we do that as well. We assess the kids from the time they get here, really through adulthood, on their reading skills, on their math skills. We use assessments such as the DRA for reading. Many of our students are hyperlexic. They can call words out, they know the words, they can read, their fluency is beautiful, but the comprehension is something that we really do need to focus on. And so we pay a great deal of attention to comprehension. And math, we have assessments as well. So all of those things are in place for the kids. Many of our kids, they need more of a therapeutic approach at different times. So being a therapeutic academic opportunity is really important. In the ISDs, kids will have an IEP. And at Monarch, we have a TEP, which is a therapeutic education plan, which for every student, we're looking at their therapeutic needs and we're looking at their academic needs. And we're focusing on those between the therapeutic team and the academic team on behalf of the children and the young adults. And really, at the end of the day, we're about how do the individuals we serve access the greater community in ways that are authentic and meaningful to them so that they can just have a great life. And so our adult program is very important to Monarch. We have lots of kids who move through the different programs. They graduate, they join their transition services program. We have 3 houses in the neighborhood. We have apartments. And if you think about the gradual release model of how much work does the teacher or the parent or the caregiver do, and at what point does the learner absorb those responsibilities, we're always trying to release ownership of action. We don't want to overfunction, and we want to support our individuals in ways so that as they grow through the system, as somebody said earlier so beautifully, you know, there's a lot more life than sitting at home on your parents' couch for all of us. And so we really want to work with the individuals who we have the pleasure of serving in ways that help them in the greater community at the end of the day. That was fast.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned your transition program as well. Thank you. Thank you for sharing Monarch and what Monarch is doing for special schools in the community. So now we have Amy with the Parish School. Thanks, Amy, for being with us here today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for including me in the Parish School. We're so honored to be here. Houston really is a special city in that we really do offer so many different schools that specialize in ways to support children and their families. And I get to talk about the Parish School. So I am a speech language pathologist and my role is community outreach. And something for you to know is that we educate children between the ages of 2 and 12 with communication and learning disabilities. And from the very beginning, in our early childhood classrooms, those classes are taught by certified speech language pathologists, okay? So what that means is that those students receive between 20 and 25 hours of group language therapy a week, which is really, it's unparalleled and it is magical in terms of the progress that a child can make. And so people oftentimes ask, okay, group language therapy. So what am I saying there? So children that qualify with a communication delay or speech and language disorder also have to have a certain amount of, let's say they have to have some solidification within group skills or be very stimulable for sharing a group environment of at least 8 students and up to 10 students, okay? Our ratios in the early childhood, let's say in our emerging language, those students, it's about 8 children to 3 adults. And then when they go into pre-primary, that's about 10 students to 2 adults. So those are truly our ratios, and those students really are sharing their space and their play and their communication in real time with those students. When our children transition from early childhood to elementary school, those classrooms, it's sort of an inverse relationship in the sense that those classrooms are taught by certified special educators, okay? And in those classrooms, a speech language pathologist then pushes into the classroom for about 6 to 8 hours a week, supporting language strategies and social learning. So I should pause there and talk a little bit about social learning. At the Parish School, we use a social learning program that is based on the social thinking methodologies. And, you know, one super special thing to brag about is that Michelle Garcia Winter, who is the founder of Social Thinking, there are 10 people in the world that travel and speak and train on behalf of social thinking. And Renee Attaway is one of those individuals, and she consults on our campus, and all of our speech language pathologists meet with her weekly so that we are working with that vocabulary and how to support that not social skills, but social competencies in real time. What else can I tell you? We have an on-site clinic called the Caruth Center, and our Caruth Center is also run by a speech language pathologist. But within the Caruth Center, we have the following therapies. We have group language therapy for students that aren't quite ready for admissions at the Parish School, but they're coming a couple times a week for small groups. And those groups that ratio is even smaller, right? You're thinking about 4 students, 3 staff. We also have individual speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and we have play therapy as well. Something else, and our campus was founded by a speech language pathologist, and we are administrated by speech pathologists. And as I keep sharing with you, taught by certified speech language pathologists. A very huge focus on our campus is library, arts, and nature. If you are ever able to come onto our campus, and we'd like to invite everyone, because we are having in-person tours, what you'll come to find is that Robin Parish's vision was to create a school that really felt like a camp. And when you come onto our campus, you will come to see that, because we know that children that struggle in a mainstream learning environment and with communication all children tend to, for that matter, do better in nature. And so our students, they all have a pair of rain boots, and they come in their uniforms, and they plan to be out in the elements. And when they transition between the classroom to go to theater or the classroom to go to art, it is all outdoors. And so much of their learning day is spent there. We have a very heavy emphasis as well on theater, and we have been putting on a spring musical, my gosh, for over 25 years. And we also have a strong commitment to adult education through webinars. And one thing that I provide through outreach is our professional speakers bureau. So we provide parent education that is free, as well as adult education in the form of professional development for schools area and beyond. We also have a podcast for any of you that are listening that you can find on your favorite podcast player, which could be Spotify or Google Player or whatever it is. And that podcast is called Unbabbled. And it is also moderated by 2 speech language pathologists. And it is just a fantastic resource to families and caregivers. If you have any other questions, I would so love to help you get those answered. And I hope, I think I've kind of hit all, there's so many more high points, but those are the main ones.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing the Parish School with us today. And I love your enthusiasm. So thank you for that. For time, I'm going to turn everything over to Lisa Williams with the Williams School. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us. It's all yours.
Hi, my name is Lisa Williams, like Allison said, and I am the head of school at the Williams School. We welcome children and young adults, kindergarten through 12th grade. I started the Williams School little over 18 years ago for my own son. I was a special ed teacher in the ISDs and in private schools. And lo and behold, I had one of those students myself. And he was going to public school, and he was falling between the cracks. He's this wonderfully smart little boy who could talk your head off using huge multisyllabic words, but he couldn't read. And I could teach anyone to read, but I couldn't teach my own child. So I did what any mother bear would do and went out and found something. And I stumbled upon phonographics, which is pretty much what our entire school at first was based upon. Now it's got a lot of other things. Phonographics is a research-based program for children or adults with dyslexia, cognitive listening skills, and working with reading with both non-dyslexic and regular kids, whatever those are. So it, like I said, it is research-based, all of our curriculum, but it's also mom brain based, if that makes sense. I'm really fond of saying the curriculum of a school should not fit a child should not have to fit the curriculum of a school, that the curriculum should fit the child. So I may sound very flippant when I give a tour and a parent asks me what curriculum you use. I say whatever works, because what may work for one child may not work for another child. And so we dig until we find what works for each child and work really hard to put an individual lesson plan and individual assessment, IEP, and a behavior plan if it's needed for each child. And in that, in the team that we put together, the parent is a part of it. Teachers are a part of it. I am a part of it, and the student is a part of it, because I think, especially our high school students, they deserve a voice in what they learn. And it's amazing when you give them that voice, how they flourish. So, but we welcome kids who learn a little differently. They may have ADD, ADHD, ODD. I'm throwing out a lot of initials, hoping you all know what they are, but I think so, because everyone's been doing it. So, and they may be anxiety ridden. My own son his dyslexia is dyslexic, and he was anxieties like crazy. And he also has had dyscalculia and dysgraphia and ADD. And being an adult with attention deficit, I totally understood that in my child. And so I opened the school, and that was 18 years ago. And we've had a lot of graduates. This year we have 5 graduating in our school. Out of 20 kids, 5 are seniors and are graduating. Many of those students have been with us since we have one student that's been with us since 2nd grade, and he is graduating this year and going straight into the workforce with his family's business. We've had graduates that have gone on to college. We have one this year on complete academic scholarship, a presidential scholarship at the college he's chosen. And that's Austin College in Sherman, Texas. And we have kids that are going straight into the workforce. We have kids who will be going to community college, some that are looking around Houston to stay closer to home, at least the first year or two. And we've had some kids that will just go home, and I don't think they'll just sit on their parents' couch, but they're trying to figure what they want to do with their lives. And we do help all of our kids, try to help them figure that out as well. We are fully accredited through Cognia, which is one of the 13 accepted accrediting agencies. It's an international accrediting agency, and it is accepted through TEA as well. And our small teacher ratios is 1 to 8, except in high school, we will go up to 10. We only have 20 kids this year. So, and we have 5 teachers. All teachers are accredited, they all are degreed, sorry. And most of them are moms that have had these kids, so they're thrown into what it's like and whether they like it or not, and they've all risen to the occasion. And our kids have fun. You can walk down the halls and you hear laughter more than, oh, don't make me do that algebra sort of thing. There's a lot of that too, but that's teenage angst. So we have fun here at the Williams School. We are a 501c3 not-for-profit, and I am run by a board of directors, and my board is a working board. They only have to meet once a year, but they meet monthly. They work so my school will stay open. And we have our money does not come from the government. We have started a scholarship fund this year because we've had a student pass, and it's the Michael Jacob Stevenson Memorial Scholarship. And next year we'll have one student to be able to get that scholarship, and we hope to be able to continue that. And we're really adaptable to all of our children's needs and our families' needs, and that's generally has a lot to do with money. So I'm kind of not real good on the computer. That's why I have I call her my brain. She is this administrative assistant, and she does and she's not here to upload on stuff, and I'm doing good to they don't want me to add stuff to the phone. Let's just put it that way.
That's right.
Allison, you have to agree with that.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. One thing that Lisa mentioned, that the school was originally based on phonographics. And if you have a struggling reader, an ADHD kid that's struggling to read, or any kid that's struggling to read, I had one, and nothing worked. Phonics didn't work. Sight words definitely didn't work. But you know what did work? Phonographics worked. It worked, and I have an amazing reader. So if that's you and your child struggles with that and you've never heard of phonographics, check it out. You can Google that. It was like a light bulb moment at my house, because I mean it was something else. You would think that the child had never been taught, and she totally had, but it was just what finally worked, and it was so good. So I do believe in phonographics. It is a good program. So thank you, Lisa, for being here with us today. We did good, ladies. Everybody did good from a time perspective, and we're going to finish right on time, just like we had planned. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Consolidated Planning Group, guys, we can help you. We're nationally certified as Social Security advisors. So if you've got transitioning kids, you got questions on SSI, Medicaid, how to get it, setting up an ABLE account, a special needs trust, guardianship, we can get you going in the right direction and kind of send you where you need. A lot of families have kids that have that will have care needs long beyond past age 18 or 21 or 22, may have lifetime care needs. We can help people develop a future care cost estimate, because a lot of families want to know, what do I need to do? What do I set aside? How do I plan for this? What about when I'm gone? Guys, we have webinars on all of these topics. Our consultations are always free. So if you have some of those questions, certainly reach out to us. We'll be happy to chat with you. Consultations are always free. I always like to say meet the team, because a lot of times I'm the face on these webinars, but we have an awesome team behind us here at Consolidated Planning Group. So if you're interested in a consultation, you can take a picture of that little QR code there. All of our webinars, topics of all the things that should be on your special needs radar in the previous slide, all of those live on our YouTube channel, so you can subscribe to that and find the topics that might be related to you and where you are on your journey. So I've only got 1 minute, so I can go back to one question. So IEPs, we've got the IEPs in the public school, and basically, is it fair to say, because I'm going to summarize, is it fair to say that in the private school, we don't necessarily have an IEP, because the private school, their curriculum, their learning program is tailored directly to them. So it might not be called an IEP, it might be called something else in each one of your schools, and each one of them may have a little bit more of a knob turn to therapy or something else. But the bottom line is the IEP exists. It's just called something else in the private school. Is that a fair assessment? Okay, perfect. Well, I think we've answered as many questions as we can for today. I would just like to say thank you again for all of you. Guys, it's a big deal to bring everybody together because they're essentially competitors, but I think what you heard today is that their heart for education, their heart for serving others, their heart for serving students with disabilities and closing the gap on some of these things. One last thing I wanted to mention, I did see in the chat box about vocational and learning and jobs and things like that. We have a whole webinar on that, vocational rehab, the Texas Workforce Commission. There are a lot of programs for individuals with disabilities starting as young as age 14 to 22 for work readiness for your students. And maybe they are, maybe they aren't, maybe they'll go early, maybe they'll go late. Doesn't matter, work readiness. There's programs available through the state of Texas that are fully funded state and federally to help your kids. So check out our webinar on that. Thank you again, everyone. Ladies, thank you for being here, and thank you everyone for attending today. And again, this has been recorded, and you guys will get an email later today with a copy of the slides and the recording. It's certainly been my pleasure to be back with all of you again. So take care.